Hello, students. Nice to see you again. Welcome to lesson number 15 of Max Sensei's online English lesson. I hope you're doing okay. Winter has officially arrived. It is very, very cold. I didn't want to use my heater today because the sound is a little loud. So I'm wearing a jacket, which, if you know me, that's very rare. I usually wear short sleeve shirts all the way up until November, and then I just wear long sleeve shirts. But officially, it's January. It's very cold. I'm in a jacket. Woo! Okay, so I was talking to some students last a couple weeks ago, and I brought up a topic that I was very surprised nobody had heard anything about. So today we are going to talk about SDGs. SDGs. And SDGs means Sustainable Development Goals. These are we're going to talk about the SDGs and the history of the SDGs and what they try to do, and we will have some discussion questions about those. But first, I was really surprised that you didn't know about it because I think Japan has really tried to promote SDGs a lot in kind of companies, commercials, politics, and so on. So I want to ask you a question. Have you ever seen a business person or a politician with a little like pin badge on their jacket that looked like this? Have you ever seen this symbol? If the answer is yes, then you know something about SDGs because this is the official symbol for the SDGs. There are 17 little squares, and each square represents a goal of the Sustainable Development Goals. And we're going to talk about SDGs today. So, if you head on over to the blog spot, chitchatclubjapan.blogspot.com, you can see the article on Sustainable Development Goals. I wrote this article. I hope there's enough good information in there for you guys to follow. There's 5 vocab words and 5 discussion questions, and you can answer those questions any way you'd like. You can comment on the YouTube video. You can send me an email or a line message, or we can just talk about them next time I see you in person. Anything is okay. So let's start reading. The Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Today, we will talk about the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals that were created by the United Nations. But what do those words mean? Sustainable means to maintain or not lose something. Development means to build or promote, and goals are plans. Together, the SDGs are goals created to help the world be able to last forever and to help people live happily and successfully without running out of resources. So why were the SDGs created? Well, the UN, which is United Nations, decided to create a set of rules or goals in 2015 in order to improve human lives and protect the environment. All 178 countries agreed to do their best in reaching these goals. There are 17 total goals, but I won't list them all here. Each goal helps people or Earth in a different way. For example, goal 1 is no poverty, and goal 2 is no hunger. They both help poor countries where people are too poor or to survive or too hungry to live their life. Goal 4 is quality education, and goal number 5 is gender equality. These goals help people get education from trained professionals and treats boys and girls equally, so everyone gets a fair chance at life. Then there are goals for the environment, like Goal 14, Life Below Water, or Goal 15, Life on Land, which tries to help animals and keep nature clean and beautiful. Finally, there are goals that try to help business and industry. Goal number 9 improves industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And goal 11 creates sustainable cities and communities. These goals will make plans for recycling, building factories that don't pollute, and create more jobs that focus on the future. Overall, there are three different categories for SDGs: economic, society, and the environment. Each of these categories is supposed to help the other one. So, if a country has a strong economy, then their society can get many benefits. And if a country has a strong society and economy, they can focus on keeping the environment clean and beautiful. But there are some problems with the SDGs. First, the goals are very ambitious and might be hard to solve. The UN has set the goals to end in 2030. So it will probably be impossible to end poverty all over the world in just 9 more years. The second problem is about economic growth. It is difficult to grow the economies all over the world and at the same time keep the environment and society healthy and clean. Growing an economy uses resources, and using up all of the Earth's resources is not sustainable. The final problem is public interest in the international community. Most people don't know about the SDGs and have never heard of them, but they have been around for 6 years now. If the UN and countries fail to teach the public about SDGs, it will be very hard to solve or improve them in the future. For now, the most important thing to do is love each other, love the planet Earth, and do your best to improve everyone's life. Hopefully, 2021 can bring us closer to solving the SDGs. All right, well, that was the reading. We're going to look at the vocabulary and discussion questions, but SDGs can be a little complicated to understand, especially the ones that focus on business and industry, because it's a lot of business talk about sustainable economy and things like that. So there are some very easy ones too, like life below water and life on land. Like, hey, let's help animals. Let's make sure we're not polluting the water. Let's make sure we're keeping the forest clean. Let's make sure we're not hunting animals to extinction and things like that. So if you guys want, you can look online and you can find a list of all 17, and you can do a little research and find out what you think about the SDGs. Or you can just use this blog article and that's it. It's up to you. But we're going to focus on 5 vocab in the essay, and then we're going to look at 5 discussion questions to answer. So our first vocabulary word is 2 words. It's gender equality. Gender equality. And this means access. Let me bring up here we go. Okay. All right, so gender equality, access to rights or opportunities is unaffected by gender. So you might think that, oh, that's a man's job, or, oh, this is only for women to learn, and things like that. Well, gender equality tries to cancel that kind of thinking. It tries to give access to opportunities no matter what gender a person is. And so that's one of the SDGs, is in many other countries, and maybe even in Japan or the United States as well, there are some things that men dominate that work, like politics, and some activities that are seen as feminine or only for women. But the SDG for gender equality tries to provide access or rights to everything, no matter what gender. Mainly the focus is in developing countries. Education is something that is basically for men more than women. And they're trying to stop that from happening. They're trying to promote education for everyone, no matter what gender, to improve the world, to improve society. Next is industry. Let's look at this one. It says industry, a form of economic or commercial activity. There are many SDGs that focus on building industry. Next is innovation. This is also a business word. To make changes in something established by introducing new methods. Taking something that exists now and trying to level it up, trying to build it into something better. A lot of innovation is being made in technology, but also in things like farming, like using AI farm trucks and things like that to help agriculture in developing countries and so on. Infrastructure is number 4. Infrastructure means the physical and organizational structures and facilities. This sounds like kind of difficult, but you only have to think of government buildings, roads, and power supplies. So basically all these huge buildings, all the streets, all the public places to go, this is all infrastructure. So if it's not made by a company, it's infrastructure. If it's made by public or government. All right, and number 5 is sustainable. And this is, in the title of today's article, Sustainable Development Goals. It's to be able to maintain at a certain rate or level. So it means we don't use up, we keep the thing, or, sustainable development means to improve. So sustain, to be able to maintain at a certain rate or level. All right, and finally, we have our discussion questions. And today, we have 5 discussion questions. Let's look at them. Number 1, which SDG category do you think is the most interesting or important? So remember, there were 3 categories: society, economy, and the environment. So which category do you think is the most interesting or important? You can answer either of those questions. Number 2, what countries can benefit the most from the SDGs? We talked about many of the SDGs. What countries do you think can benefit the most? Number 3, what should Japan do to improve human life and the environment? Could you think of some kind of problem that's happening in Japan, and how could Japan fix that problem? All right, number 4, should Japan reach out and help other countries or focus on Japan's problems more? So basically, the United Nations made the SDGs so that all countries can work together to help certain problems. So for example, like poverty and hunger, it really helps developing countries. And so should Japan help the other countries with poverty and hunger, or do you think Japan should focus more on the SDGs and problems that help Japan more? What do you guys think? And number 5, if you had to make a new goal for the UN to focus on, what would it be? You can think of a big problem in the world or in your country and talk about it. So basically, my first question is make a new SDG, but you don't have to think about something so difficult. Just think of a big problem in the world that you think the whole world should focus on. Or think of a big problem in Japan that you think Japan should focus on. So if you had to make a new goal for the United Nations to focus on, what would it be? All right, well, that's all for today's lesson. I hope you learned a little bit about SDGs. When I made this article, I learned a little bit about the history of SDGs. I learned about the United Nations a little, and I really hope that these SDGs improve society, improve the environment, and improve industry too. Well, thank you for watching lesson 15. I hope you guys all stay warm and safe, and please be careful this winter, and I look forward to hearing your responses. So goodbye everyone. Thank you for watching.